working for you.
The murder of an abortion doctor, gunned down inside his home by a sniper lying in wait.
This man or woman or whoever did this is a coward.
Federal agents are working the case. The day after the deal on the peace process in the Middle East, can promises made at the table become reality on the street?
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News, reported by Brian Williams. Substituting tonight is Sarah James.
Good evening. Abortion rights activists are calling it political terrorism. Barnett Slepian, an Amherst, New York doctor well known to anti-abortion protesters, was shot dead by a sniper last night while at home with his wife and 4 children. The killing comes just days after authorities warned clinic workers in upstate New York about a pattern of sniper shootings in the last few years in that region in early autumn. More now from NBC's Dan Abrams.
It was an execution-style killing. One bullet fired from a high-powered rifle crashed through the window of Dr. Barnett Slepian's suburban Buffalo home, striking him in the back.
Somebody laid in wait.
Dr. Slepian, an obstetrician, performed abortions at this Buffalo clinic. Slepian was no stranger to confrontation. Protesters regularly picketed near his home and his office. He even appeared in court in the late 80s accused of assaulting one picketer. In a 1994 editorial in the Buffalo News, Slepian warned that no one should be surprised when a, quote, more volatile and less restrained anti-abortion protester reacts to their inflammatory rhetoric by shooting an abortion provider. Melinda Du Bois is the director of the clinic where Slepian worked.
He took those threats, and he also took the precautions that he needed to, and he took them seriously, but he stated constantly that he would never interfere with his practice.
In fact, just 3 days before the shooting, the FBI and Canadian authorities warned of possible attacks on doctors who perform abortions in Canada and in some cities near the Canadian border.
We were aware, we were informed, the doctors are informed, they have a network. They were informed, they faxed us information today. They've been taking precautions.
In the past 4 years, 4 abortion providers in Canada and upstate New York were wounded by gunshots from high-powered rifles through windows in their homes at about the same time of year. In Buffalo today, an anti-abortion activist condemned Slepian's killing.
This kind of action hurts everyone. Anytime we see the escalation of violence, then we're all affected, we're all hurt.
None more than those who knew Dr. Slepian not as an abortion doctor, but as the doctor who delivered their children.
He was a very caring doctor, very personal. You weren't a number in the office. You got in, you were treated with utmost care.
Amherst, New York is considered one of the safest cities in America, and yet Dr. Slepian often wore a bulletproof vest to work. Now local, federal, and even Canadian authorities are investigating his murder. Dan Abrams, NBC News, Amherst, New York.
With the ink barely dry on the new Mideast peace plan, the focus now, how to convince hardliners to give peace a chance. As NBC's Martin Fletcher reports, Netanyahu and Arafat agree, but that's not enough.
While Jewish settlers in the West Bank look on, pro-peace Israelis today help Palestinians with their olive harvest as Israeli soldiers keep the peace. The peace process in miniature.
We have to live together. Jews and Arabs can live together.
Not everyone here is so positive, though. The partners in peace, Yasser Arafat in Austria today and Benjamin Netanyahu still in Washington, will both have a hard time selling their peace deal at home. Netanyahu faces a rebellion by some right-wing members of his government who don't want to give up any land.
It's a black day for Israel, a black day for the Jewish people.
Arafat must confront his own extremists, Islamic militants, who simply want the destruction of Israel. The highlights of the deal worked out at the 9-day summit. Israel will give the Palestinians another 13% of the West Bank. But there's a big if. First, Arafat must collect illegal weapons held by Palestinians. That could lead to confrontation, even war, with the Islamic militants. He has to almost halve the number of his own men under arms to 24,000. And cancel a clause in the Palestinian Charter that calls for the destruction of Israel. It'll be very hard. Even supporters of peace here are skeptical. It doesn't matter how good the agreement looks on paper. It's here on the ground in the West Bank that it has to work. And speaking to the people here, Arabs and Jews, the clearest thing of all is they just don't trust each other. These Palestinians all agree they don't trust Netanyahu. But by promising to come to the West Bank soon, President Clinton is saying he'll keep up the pressure on both leaders. And working from the U.S. Embassy in Tel Aviv, the CIA will check how many guns are taken from the militants. It's a new, deeper role for Americans in the Middle East peace process, potentially dangerous, but one that could mean the difference between failure or success. Marlon Fletcher, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
And this program note, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is among Tim Russert's guests tomorrow on NBC's Meet the Press. And when NBC Nightly News continues in a moment, demands that a former dictator face international justice. What role will the U.S. play? And later, in focus, doing deals online. Sometimes it's risky business.
As a highlight of our franchisee meeting, we have the co-founder of Pizza Hut, Mr. Frank Carney.
Recently, the retired co-founder of Pizza Hut did something surprising. He bought a Papa John's franchise.
Sorry, guys. I found a better pizza.
Today, he owns over 70 restaurants.
Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza.
He's got it.
Try our Papa's Choice. That's a large pizza with your choice of up to 5 toppings for just $9.99.
Right now, you can get a complete pair of great-looking glasses for only $99 at LensCrafters in your choice of hundreds of the latest frame styles.
LensCrafters $99 complete pair sale.
This is a great offer. People should definitely not miss this.
Hurry, offer ends soon.
Enterprise? Hi, I'm at the repair shop. I need to rent a car.
Enterprise will arrange to pick you up,
This is great.
drive you to our place, and get you on your way. Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
A new study has shown that 3 cups of Cheerios whole grain oats a day added to a low-fat diet can actually help reduce your cholesterol. Just think of them as little life preservers, the one and only Cheerios, to help reduce your cholesterol.
Cars are now breaking the sound barrier. Serves are clocked at 140. We can travel 18,000 miles an hour into space. So how come pain relief isn't faster? Introducing Advil Liquid Gels, the first and only pain reliever in a faster-acting liquid-filled capsule that's gentle on your stomach. On tough pain, Advil Liquid Gels are stronger and faster than extra-strength Tylenol. Headaches to muscle aches. New Advil Liquid Gels. Advanced medicine for pain. Stronger and faster.
In the Caribbean tonight, weather forecasters are keeping a close watch on Hurricane Mitch. Right now, the storm is moving slowly, but its 100-mile-an-hour winds could pose problems for Jamaica next week. Now, the coming showdown over Britain's decision to arrest and Spain's request to extradite the former Chilean dictator Augusto Pinochet. The charges that he's responsible for murders while in power, some of them in the United States. The latest from NBC's Kevin Tibbles.
Pinochet's a killer, they chant on the streets of London today, calling for the extradition of former Chilean leader Augusto Pinochet. He's been detained for a week by British authorities who are threatening to send him to Spain to stand trial. Pinochet's wife now pleads for his release. But the British government so far has refused. Pinochet staged a military coup in 1973. Under his rule, more than 3,000 people were killed, thousands more tortured. Spain says some of its citizens were victims. So far, the United States has refused to comment on Pinochet's arrest, but 36 members of Congress have sent this letter to President Clinton. In it, they say the case against Pinochet and his allies presents a significant opportunity to work with the world community to punish those responsible for international crimes in Chile, the United States, and elsewhere. Case in point, this 1976 car bombing in Washington not only killed a Chilean dissident, it also killed his American colleague. Human rights activists suspect Pinochet knew of the plot.
The military government under General Pinochet executed United States citizens and, in fact, carried out attacks in the United States.
Some lawyers say recent changes to international law make it easier to bring those accused of atrocities to trial.
It's in everybody's interests
that those who've committed gross violations of human rights should be brought to justice if at all possible.
Still in London, Pinochet continues to fight extradition. His lawyers will be in court Monday arguing the 82-year-old former dictator was traveling on a diplomatic passport and should be freed. Kevin Tibbles, NBC News, London.
NASA's engineers have transformed science fiction into science fact as the unmanned Deep Space One soared into space. The futuristic spacecraft carrying new technologies will travel 120 million miles across the solar system, powered by ion propulsion. The inventor got the idea from a Star Trek episode. When NBC Nightly News continues, how easy it is to get stuck when you're on the web.
Recently, we flew Carrie Eisenhandler and her family to Johns Hopkins for surgery to correct a pre-existing heart condition. We flew Eric Gonzalez to the Cleveland Clinic because of their renowned expertise in treating Crohn's disease. Hopefully, these stories fly in the face of the belief that healthcare isn't what it used to be. We're Aetna U.S. Healthcare, raising the quality of healthcare in America.
Pain keeping you awake? Now the effervescent power of new Alka-Seltzer PM gives you complete relief. Alka-Seltzer Speed plus a gentle sleep aid. The 100% solution to nighttime pain. New Alka-Seltzer PM. Sleep well.
Yves Saint Laurent Eyewear by Luxottica. What do you want people to see?
I want you to see discretion.
Dignity.
I want you to see how the girl next door turned out.
Let them see you in Yves Saint Laurent Eyewear by Luxottica.
Some things can never be taught in a classroom. You won't find them in any textbook. And with Fixodent's long-lasting hold, you'll be ready, no matter where the lesson takes you. For long-lasting hold, Fixodent and forget it.
Sunday, the countdown to Decision 98. Big surprises in store? Plus, Republican Mary Madeline takes on husband James Carville. If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
In focus this evening, a warning for internet surfers about how easy it is to get in over your head. NBC's Soledad O'Brien has our report.
Barry Wise is a CPA. He lives with his wife and 2 children in Matthews, North Carolina. 2 years ago, he thought he had found a surefire investment. It was Fortuna Alliance, which on its website billed itself as a new paradigm for financial independence. The company's website shows that under one plan, a $250 monthly fee could return over $5,000 per month.
So I just took it for granted that, hey, if it's on the internet, it must be legitimate or it wouldn't be on the internet.
But a website is no guarantee of legitimacy. In a civil lawsuit, the Federal Trade Commission described Fortuna Alliance as an illegal pyramid scheme with false and deceptive advertising that used the internet to achieve a rapid growth on an international scale. Before a trial could be held, company officials settled, admitting no wrongdoing but agreeing to give money back to investors who complained. A court later ruled they didn't and held Augie Delgado, the head of Fortuna, in contempt. Delgado has disappeared, and so have nearly $3 million. In the end, investors got only 60% of their money back. The FTC says Fortuna Alliance was an example of a classic pyramid scheme, an old con transferred to a new medium, the internet. But some schemes depend on the internet to work. When monitors at AT&T noticed a spike in calls to Moldova, a small republic in the former Soviet Union, investigators traced the calls to a couple of websites run by a company called Audiotex. The case landed on the desk of the FTC's Paul Lear.
We went through the process and found that, in essence, they were hijacking people's modems through these websites.
How did it work? Investigators say first there was the bait, free pornographic pictures which required special software to view. What consumers did not know was that software turned off their speakers, disconnected them from their internet service providers, then reconnected them to another provider in Moldova, an expensive long-distance call. The FTC says 38,000 people ran up charges totaling $2.7 million. Website operators were supposed to get their money from the foreign telephone companies. The company, while admitting no wrongdoing, settled the case and agreed to never distribute the software again.
We actually stopped a lot of the money in the pipeline before it ever reached the defendants. And so, in essence, what we did through the settlement was reverse the flow and give consumers their money back through credits on their telephone bills.
The National Consumers League tracks complaints of fraud on the internet. They've seen explosive growth.
2 years ago, when we set up the Internet Fraud Watch, we were seeing an average of 32 fraudulent internet sites every month. Now we have more than 1,100 complaints of fraudulent internet sites every month.
The most common complaints? About online auctions, places where buyers bid for items over the internet. John Okanowski shopped that way 7 or 8 times with no problems. He uses online auctions because they're easy and he saves money.
Being a engineer, I guess, I felt fairly comfortable really dealing with the internet.
The bad experience came when he was the winning bidder on a $310 8.4 gigabyte hard drive.
After the auction was over and I had sent my cashier's check to pay for it, never heard from him again. Also never received the hard drive.
After weeks of pursuing the seller, Craig Hare of Lake Worth, Florida, Okanowski called U.S. Postal inspectors, and he complained to the FBI. He says investigators were reluctant to help.
Got a response that if there was less than $500,000 involved, they really weren't interested.
But Rob Ireland, an investigator at the FTC, was interested. He'd heard other complaints about Craig Hare.
He used a slew of mail drops and aliases and internet addresses that changed on almost a daily basis to evade prosecution and the consumer's anger.
On evidence from Okanowski and 24 others, the FTC sued Hare for fraud. He was banned for life from conducting business on the net, and Hare currently faces up to 15 years in prison and a $750,000 fine if convicted on criminal charges for some of these same transactions. Hare's dissatisfied customers have gotten no money back.
He's not being asked to make restitution on it. I don't feel very good about that.
The lessons learned?
I don't feel that I'm that out of the ordinary from what could happen to anybody.
Barry is out $2,000 he doesn't expect to see again. He's learned to trust less, never deal in cash, and research every offer on the web, knowing now that if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Soledad O'Brien, NBC News, Matthews, North Carolina.
For more information on this story, including a list of the most common scams, visit Internet Underground at our website, msnbc.com. And when we continue, echoes and boomerangs on the campaign trail.
You have been asleep for over 7 years. Your mission will change the course of history. But first, you've really got to brush your teeth. The Sonicare Sonic Toothbrush. It cleans with a combination of 31,000 brush strokes per minute and gentle sonic waves. Sonicare removes nearly twice as much plaque between teeth as a manual toothbrush, going where no brush has ever gone before. Sonicare, the Sonic Toothbrush.
If you could leave just a little bit over at every meal, it would really add up.
Imagine what you could avoid eating in a single month. If you're significantly overweight, your doctor has a way to help you.
It's called Meridia, and it can help you lose weight and keep it off.
You've got to do your part. You've got to do your part with diet and exercise. But Meridia can help.
Meridia is a prescription medicine, and it's not for everyone. It can substantially raise blood pressure, and it's not for people who are pregnant or nursing, under 16, or taking anything else for weight loss, depression, Parkinson's disease, migraines, or for people with glaucoma, anorexia, seizures, or serious heart, liver, or kidney problems. It's a controlled substance, so some patients may experience limited dependence. Side effects may include headache, constipation, insomnia, and dry mouth. For more information, ask your doctor or call 1-888-4-MERIDIA.
I'm ready.
Meridia. You do your part, we'll do ours.
There's an athlete amongst us, disguised as a mother and a neighbor. And when most of us are still sleeping, she's running. She also takes the vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and folic acid in Women's Ultra Mega Multivitamins made by General Nutrition Centers. Tomorrow, she'll get up and run some more. Women's Ultra Mega Multivitamins made exclusively by GNC. Live strong, live well.
The pace of campaigning picked up this weekend with Congress now in recess. Republicans, who hope to increase their majority in both houses, thought the Lewinsky scandal would help. But even in some conservative districts, like North Carolina's 2nd, it's not working out that way. Here's NBC's Gwen Ifill.
Democratic Congressman Bob Etheridge should be in trouble. It didn't take long for the president to become an election year issue in his North Carolina district.
Scandal after scandal, day after day. And who stands with Bill Clinton even now? Liberal Bob Etheridge.
This ad for Republican challenger Dan Page ran for a week in August at the height of the president's troubles.
And Bill Clinton does not represent the people of the 2nd Congressional District, and they do not need another yes man for Bill Clinton.
But instead of costing Democrats their jobs, strategies like Page's appear to be backfiring.
He thought it was a big issue, I think, and certainly originally it got him a lot of national attention, but at home he didn't get that much bump out of it.
Little more than a week from Election Day, Etheridge, a freshman who voted with congressional Republicans in favor of an open-ended impeachment inquiry, is now comfortably ahead in polls and fundraising, confident enough to appear with the president at White House pep rallies, and happy to use the advantages of incumbency to show off at home. If Bill Clinton's troubles are going to make a difference anywhere this election year, it will be in small southern towns like this. But on these main streets, Washington scandals seem very far away. Across the country, Democrats are turning the tables on the impeachment debate. These ads are airing in Washington state.
Haven't you had enough of Congress's obsession with investigation and impeachment?
Rick White's vote on impeachment will drag us through months and months of more mud and politics.
In North Carolina, the answer may be yes.
The Lewinsky matter is kind of like distant thunder. It's not exactly raining on the parade right now. They don't like what Clinton did, but they like it to go away.
Which puts Republicans like Dan Page in a tight spot. He had hoped Bill Clinton's problems would help him, but no one seems to want to talk White House scandal anymore, at least not until after Election Day. Gwen Ifill, NBC News, Youngsville, North Carolina.
And buoyed by America's mood, President Clinton is on the campaign trail in California tonight, and NBC's John Palmer is traveling with him.
This is Mr. Clinton's 42nd visit to California since taking office, a state he won easily in both of his presidential races. Now he hopes his continued high job approval rating in the state can boost fellow Democrats. Lieutenant Governor Gray Davis struggling in the race for governor against California Attorney General Dan Lundgren, and incumbent Senator Barbara Boxer trying to hold off a challenge from Republican State Treasurer Matt Fong. Vice President Gore was also in California this week, his 9th visit to the state since January, campaigning not only for local Democrats, but for himself in the presidential primary less than 2 years away. And California, the most populous state, will have a bigger role than usual in choosing national leaders. Last month, Governor Pete Wilson signed legislation moving the California primary election from June to early March. It means California joins New York and at least 4 other states with presidential primaries on the same early date.
But there's a hitch. The California presidential primary is an open primary, where voters are free to cross party lines to choose delegates to the other party's convention. To deal with that problem, Proposition 3 was put on the November ballot. It would close the primaries, making them strictly partisan again. The leaders of both major parties endorse Prop 3.
People of their own party ought to vote within their own primaries to select their leaders and their candidates.
The presidential primary in California for both Republicans and Democrats will become a beauty contest.
There is opposition, but most voters don't know what Prop 3 is.
I have no clue at all whatsoever.
I know there's something about the Indian tribes. I know there's something about tobacco.
Party leaders concede with most of their effort and money directed at electing candidates, little attention has been given to rallying support for Prop 3. John Palmer, NBC News, traveling with President Clinton in California.
When NBC Nightly News continues in a moment, how horrors from Germany's past are haunting its present.
What do I want? I want to know I'm headed in the right direction. I want to keep my options open. I do want to take care of my family. I want to give something back. I want to learn, find what's right for me, be ready for anything, make the right choices. I want to find the people who can get me there.
American Express Financial Advisors can help you decide what you want to do and how to get there.
I want to say I made a difference. I want to do more.
A bunch of us here in Lafayette, Colorado, ate Quaker oatmeal for 30 days. It helped reduce my cholesterol 16 points. My bowling average is still a little lower than my cholesterol, but I'm working on it. Quaker oatmeal warms your heart and soul.
Hey, I got a letter back from Quaker. I wrote and told them that Quaker toasted oatmeal ought to be called Quaker tasty oatmeal.
It's oatmeal, it's toasted. To me, that says tasty.
Well, then they should call it that.
You need a hobby.
Quaker toasted oatmeal. It's your other oatmeal.
Gas? Bloating? Need relief that's Phase-Zyme fast?
Yes.
Get maximum strength Phase-Zyme with 33% more gas medicine in each pill. Relieve gas. Phase-Zyme fast. More medicine, fast relief. Phase-Zyme.
I didn't need a wimpy laptop. I needed a desktop that travels. They said, do you like movies? And I said, you talking to me?
Introducing Yourware, technology that grows with you. When you call 1-800-GATEWAY, we can custom build you a portable desktop with an Intel Pentium 2 processor and a DVD drive for movies, all for just $87 a month. And in 2 years, you can trade it in toward the purchase of a new one.
I love this part. Me too.
Call us, and let's talk about Yourware from Gateway.
Join Tom Brokaw, Brian Williams, Jane Pauley, Katie Couric, and Matt Lauer for John Glenn's Return to Space, live Thursday on MSNBC and MSNBC.com.
Finally, healing the wounds from Germany's Nazi past, a priority for the new government, dealing with the debt of dishonor, compensating Holocaust survivors who performed slave labor. Here's NBC's Jim Maceda.
This reunion brought Ernst Michel back to hell. Now an American citizen, he and dozens of others returned to Germany for the first time in decades to jog their memories and recall the past for a new generation. They had been forced by the Nazis to work unpaid and barely fed in Germany's wartime factories, doomed themselves to the gas chambers if they weakened.
There were millions of slave laborers all over Europe, not just Jews, Poles, French, Italians, Dutch, Norwegians. They came from all over.
And today, survivors are seeking justice. A barrage of class action suits, with the help of U.S. lawyers, against Germany's biggest brand names. Volkswagen, Siemens, BMW, and other companies they claim made millions during World War II off of their backs.
This is not a moral level, this is a legal level. We worked for you. We never got money for our work.
For over 50 years, companies like Volkswagen have denied any responsibility, saying it was the Nazis who forced them to use slave workers, while previous German governments paid billions of dollars in war reparations to Jews, saying that was enough. But new Chancellor Gerhard Schroeder wants to remove the stain. Meeting this week with leaders of companies under attack, he promised a quick solution. The offensive seems to be paying off.
The more publicity and world opinion you can get into the situation, the more likelihood that something will be done.
Already, Volkswagen has set up a $12 million compensation fund. Others are expected to follow suit. But survivors say there's more than money at stake. A chance to right the wrong before time runs out. Jim Maceda, NBC News, Frankfurt.
And that's NBC Nightly News for this Saturday. I'm Sarah James, reporting from New York. A reminder, daylight savings time ends tonight. Turn the clocks back 1 hour at bedtime and have a great evening. Enjoy the extra hour. I'll see you back here tomorrow night.
NBC News, America's news leader.